One thing I've always really wanted to do with Paint and Talk is discuss things that like I really wanted to discuss on the main channel, but it's just not conducive to discuss there because if you guys don't know, I do video essays on the main channel. I do just videos talking about things and whatever I'm interested in relatively, usually covering the arts or the humanities, but they are video essays. Like they're not anything else. Even though aesthetically I try to make them unique, they're still just video essays. And I think over the last year, something I've come to realize is that like the video essay format is kind of really bad, because I don't think it's conducive to all types of discussions, especially what ends up being some of the most informative ones. Those being discussions that don't have answers. Yes, or sometimes it's not so much discussions that don't have answers, but discussions that are, the body of them is more implications of an answer and less the answer itself, So to explain kind of, I don't know if I even need to explain this because we all watch them, but video essays work in like a very linear fashion of like question, hypothesis, evidence, 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 why I'm right and everyone else is wrong. I just heard something smash outside. And keep it walking. Why I'm right and everyone else is wrong, and then answer. Right, the conclusion comes at the very end of it. And that's like the whole thing is you got to keep people watching, and that's why you put the conclusion at the end, so they watch waiting for the conclusion. I think two things have happened. One, this is just the best way to make something because it's the most interesting. The same way that you got to make a painting have some sort of visual interest, even if you have the best symbolism and all these things in the world, with no visual interest, nobody's gonna take a look at the painting. Just in that regard, it's the same thing with video essays, where it's like, just even if you have the most interesting things to say, you still need to have some level of familiarity in how you do things so people can latch onto it and like it. Obviously, at the end of the day, as much as I hate to say it because I feel that it diminishes video essays a little bit, they are content. Like these things are content. You got to play the game a little bit, And I think a lot of discussions that I've always wanted to have, especially because so many of my video ideas and ideas for Paint and Talk and things are birthed out of conversations with friends. I'd say almost maybe half of like everything I've ever done is birthed out of a conversation with a friend. Maybe a little more even. Number doesn't matter, I guess. But because of that, I think a lot of discussions with friends, and I'm sure we can all relate to this, is like you have a conclusion you both agree on, or maybe a very small point at the beginning that's just like from A to B, and you understand it, you're on the same page, and then from there, it's all implications. It's all, where do we go with this? And I know personally, when it comes to like learning, I guess, I don't know, I feel like there's this big debate about like, can you learn from video essays? Or like, can you actually become smart from video essays? I think the answer is totally yes, by the way. I don't get why people are, will you like be a scholar? No, but like, yeah, of course you can. Like way better than you would have been able to without them, Think of how many people are like not interested at all in learning or in like reading books that are like really smart from video essays. I know so many friends who are way smarter than me, and I'm like, do you read? Like, how are you so smart? And they're like, just watch YouTube all day. Like, they don't read a single book. My brother's like that. He's never picked up a book in his life, but he's like the smartest person I know because he's just like always watching a video essay on something, and it's like annoying because it's like, oh my god, why are these video essays working so well? But that's also so cool, right? That video essays can do that. But when it comes to learning, I think sometimes it can be more of a process of exploration, or at least I think it's at its best when it is. I think oftentimes coming away from things, when I feel I've learned the most is not when somebody lays out an argument for me. And this could be in the video essay sense, this could be in the sense of reading an academic paper, this could be in the sense of talking to a professor, whatever you want to put it in. I don't think I learn best, and I wonder if other people can relate to this, when somebody's like, I think this because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. you should agree with me. Like that, I think that works, and I think like I can come away from that oftentimes being like, yeah, like I could see that, like that makes sense. But I think I learn, like actually retain and pick up information when I'm having a conversation with somebody, and it's like, I think this, but I also think it could be this, and we kind of got to go back and forth a little bit, and maybe we explore, you know, a third direction that we go, no, that one's not right, and then a fourth direction that's like in between the first three. It's like, wait, that could be it. You know, kind of a wandering conversation that might not end with like a really easy, you know, okay, we figured it out. We discovered the answer. Like nothing like that ever, but I feel as if I've actually come away from it, you know, learning something? I don't know. I feel like learning something makes it seem like have an academic rigor to it that's not there, but with some sort of new information, if you want to put it in simplest terms. And I think that that's interesting because video essays, you can't do that in a video essay. You can do it here, which is why I've actually loved doing Paint Talk so much, because that's what I really like doing, is coming and being like, okay, this is just like, I'm just thinking about this thing, and what do you guys think? And I mean, I don't want to, you know, toot my own horn on in the middle of my own show, but you guys, from what you've DM'd me and from what I've heard from you guys, you like it. Like, you agree, you see the value in something like that. You find something to relate to in the conversation, where in a video essay, you might find something to be told, but you might not find anything to relate to. I think that's interesting. That's also one of the reasons I'm trying to actually step away from the video essay format. Like, I think now that I have Paint and Talk, which is kind of the thing I enjoy a little bit more than anything, I will probably be using the main channel to experiment with some different formats. I don't know, still the general same thing. I don't know, that's a whole different discussion. One of the times I was going to do this actually with a video essay was I was going to make this video on how like playlists like that you make on your phone are technically a form of art. And it was basically going to be, this is one of those times where the conclusion would come right at the start of playlists are art, not by proxy of you know, sculpting something new, but by you curating something that is an experience or that is interesting. I was going to use the example of museum gallery of playlists are technically just like museum galleries if you are taking pre-existing pieces and you are putting them in a certain order that has some sort of, you know, usually playlists is more of like an aesthetic appeal. We're just trying to go for like a vibe to listen to while you do something. That doesn't make it any less art. I think it makes people interpret it to be less art, but it still makes it just as much art as anything else. It doesn't matter how you're using it, you know. I think art for art's sake, that whole conversation's been debunked, right? Like, I don't think that people really believe that art is only highbrow if it's for art's sake. And you see that, I think that's interesting. I think that's like something that a lot of people, I think it'd fall into the category of what I was talking about before, of kind of just like okay, like, yeah, sure, like, I see it, you know, like, that's interesting, but I don't think it really allows anybody to, like, get anything from it, you know? My favorite videos that I've watched aren't videos that are, like, the ones that scold me into believing something really great, or, like, where I'm like, oh my god, the guy making this has just the best idea ever on this thing. There are videos that I've been able to go away from and go, oh wait, I could actually do that here, here, and here. And, you know, oftentimes it's very accidental. Like, I wonder even me trying to make a video that could give somebody that sort of action component to it that can make people go and actually apply something from it. It might be a vain pursuit because maybe it has to be accidental. I don't know. I think that's a bigger question than Paint and Talk can answer, to be honest. But I also think that, like, there is an element of, like, it's easy, it might be really hard to make a video that does have that action component, but it's really easy to make one without it. And I think that's what so many of my videos have ended up being that I hate. I hate that so much. When I would make a video like that where it's like, oh, your playlist is art. Cool, great, right? The more interesting part of the conversation to me, and the part of the conversation that actually, you know, I think is worth discussing, is worth pitching out there in a video that I would edit for 2 weeks, is that, like, the implications of that are kind of fucking insane, right? If your playlists are art because you're curating it, you know, if an act of curation is art, which it is, I mean, that's a type of art. If you think about it, like, graphic design is that type of art too, where you're taking things oftentimes off the internet or from your own photo shoots, and you're using fonts other people have already made, again, unless you make your own, which is usually going to be based off another font though, you're taking elements that are pre-existing and composing them in a way where it makes sense, right? Same thing with a playlist. You're taking things that already are there, you're curating them, and then you're composing them in an order to create a certain aesthetic, to create a certain vibe, right? And I think the implication that curation is art is actually like insane. Like, I think that's just something that is so worth talking about, because think of how much you curate on a daily basis. I mean, this is like a very, I don't think anyone should ever look at it like this. Like, I don't look at it like this, but like when you're planning a hangout with your friends, you're curating which friends are there to create a certain experience. I hope you don't do that. I hope you just like are like, guys, let's hang out, because that'd be really mean of like, no, Josh, not today. You're not properly curated for the vibe we're going for. Like, don't do that ever. But technically that is how that works, right? That's why a friend group forms, because the people there curate a certain feeling, a certain energy that everyone enjoys hanging out with, right? I think this is also, interior design is another huge space where this is like very direct. That like when you are doing interior design, when you're designing a space, you're curating it. In my opinion, I mean, this is something that I would have to expand upon way more. This is kind of just like off the dome. I feel it's kind of a self-portrait almost, right? When you're putting up posters of your interests maybe, or putting up, decorations that appeal to you personally, you're kind of making almost a portrait of like, this is me in a space. I want to reside in somewhere I'm comfortable in. This is what I'm comfortable in. That's really something. Like I think when you look at things like that, it could genuinely have an impact of like, oh, this is an interesting perspective change. And I think that, one of my big things that isn't my idea at all, but something I always try to do is like, I'm very into the idea that like everything is art, right? And I think at first, the reason that I've struggled to ever really pitch this in a video is because I think it kind of sounds like just something to be in like a t-shirt at Target, It's one of those things that's very like, okay, that'd be very nice to put on a sign at a coffee shop, but who cares, And I think, though, the implications of it are way more interesting than, again, the conclusion itself. And it's something that can genuinely be life-changing. And it's one of the areas where the video essay format very much limits it. And curation is just one form of art. And that's why it'd be interesting to pitch it there. But, again, things just aren't conducive to doing that, which is why, I don't know why I think I'm trying to step away a little bit from the video essay format personally. I'm trying to figure out a way to present genuine ideas rather than step-by-step tutorials on how to think like me. I don't like that. Like, I feel like a lot of video essays end up being that. Of like, this is my worldview, and here's a step-by-step of how to get to it. Like, that's, I don't know, I guess that has a ton of value, right? That's really good. Like, it's not, like, that is actually, like, amazing that you can do that, but, like, I think it provides the feeling of an idea rather than genuinely thinking. I don't know. I hope this is making some semblance of sense. The painting is done though. Full clarity, this is my second time recording this. The first one, camera ran out of battery. So there's a hidden Paint&Talk canvas now. But I just wanted to continue with the faces. I'm using red out of the fact that I am almost out of blue paint, and this is a financial decision, not an artistic one. So it's in red. I think it's interesting. I think red's kind of a cheat code, right? To get kind of a visceral painting. I think having any sort of muddy red will always provide a very, like, engaging thing to look at versus any other color. So pretty cool though. I think again, I'm liking this direction. I want to continue with these. I'm not sure why, but I guess that's why we continue, right? So check it out over on the Instagram. And until tomorrow, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice, and this is Paint and Talk episode 66. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all.